We're back. We had a big win on Friday. First district win, so we're 1-0 in district.
Correct.
And so we'll just get right to the choice. It was an exciting game, probably more excitement than you wanted.
I didn't want that much excitement.
Plenty of excitement for me.
I didn't want it.
I'm really excited to have Piedmont in our district now because I don't want to see where it's one-sided games. I want to see a little bit of drama, but of course I like to be on the top end of that drama.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely.
So
I told the kids after the game. I said, a good win. Wish they wouldn't have made it so stressful, but we'll take the win.
Right. And of course, it's the textbook story is like, okay, who's going to win? The one with the most turnovers or the one with the least turnovers?
Right.
And it was the one with the least turnovers this time. And so we'll get into that when you talk about defense, I'm sure. But let's go ahead and just get right into this. And so we had some outstanding offensive play and sustained drives, some really good things. So let's talk about the offense and maybe smooth into the players of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really proud of the way offense performed. Like Piedmont, how they kind of set their defense. They're saying, hey, we're going to limit explosives. We're going to make you snap the ball several times. We're not going to give you any vertical shots. We're going to play pretty soft defense as far as not being really aggressive. And so we had to execute. We're able to do that. I was proud of our kids. Scored on every drive but one. That stalled out, and so when you do that, obviously you have a chance to be successful, and win. And so I was, proud of the way that our kids, just managed the game, took what was there, stayed patient, and continued just being happy with 4 to 10 yard gains, and of course busted a couple open, but for the most part, kind of had to just nickel and dime yourself on down the field, and they're able to do that. And I thought, they used tempo really well. Our kids did a good job. Just keeping their foot on the gas and all those kind of things. I thought offensive line did a fantastic job, controlling line of scrimmage, several standouts. Mason Tyler, I thought, had just a tremendous game, our left tackle, finishing blocks, just being very, very aggressive, very smart, and amongst other guys. So I thought they just did a tremendous job. You kind of got to see, Titus Hawk continue to kind of have breakout games, with a touchdown, a couple of big receptions. All those things during that game, and you're starting to just slowly see him continue to evolve. Obviously only playing the position for 1 year, and how quickly he's just grown into the position. Is just been tremendous. So did a great job. Juju Smith, obviously, able to do some stuff with the ball, a couple touchdowns. And I thought Cash Williams, arguably one of his best games. I think that he's played just decision making, his fourth down conversions, and just staying calm, managing the game, throwing the ball in some really, really tight windows. And I kept calling how'd you make that throw? Just really, really good job. But our players of the game. We're not. I'm only felt to mention real quick too, and also Nathan Kiefer, on the perimeter as well, had a couple receptions. But man, if you really watch him, those guys put on a clinic on how to block on the perimeter. Just super unselfish, did a tremendous job. Very, very proud of those guys. But we went on the offensive players of the week.
I did too.
And I bet you could name one of them pretty easily if you watched the game. Mayor Morgan was all over the place, rushing for 230 something and 3 touchdowns, and just absolutely going crazy. Doing a great job, breaking tackles, just being a workhorse. Just carry after carry after carry, and just continue to get back up and just doing such a great job. And Mayor's a tremendous young man, very unselfish. He'll run it, catch it, throw it, block it. Doesn't matter. He just wants to score, and did a great job. So the first one was Mayor Morgan, and the second one, maybe you have him as well, Hayden Mounts.
Okay. I actually did miss
that. Okay. Hayden Mounts, two big touchdowns. On
huge.
1 3rd and long, 1 4th and long, just making acrobatic catches, in the end zone. He's so, Hayden Mounts so athletic, and explosive of an athlete. And also blocking on the perimeter, just did a really, really good job all night blocking the perimeter. So we did Hayden Mounts, Mayor Morgan, both tremendous job. But I'm interested to see your take on players.
I'm close. Mayor Morgan was one of them.
That's hard.
He's becoming, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, especially an old Dallas Cowboy fan. He's the Emmitt Smith of Choctaw to me.
Yeah.
Because he's patient, but once he hits that hole and he sees daylight.
Well, as a coach, what I enjoy, a lot of things about Mayor, but just a strictly football standpoint, what I enjoy about Mayor is you will very, very, very rarely see Mayor have a negative carry.
Yeah.
He's always positive, meaning if you give him the ball, if it's 3 yards, he's going to get you 3. He may get you 33, but he doesn't get you -3.
Right.
And that's key, and I appreciate that about him because, to a casual football fan, maybe like, hey, this team lost the game, this team won the game.
Right.
When you really start digging in deep, it's like this team had almost 0 negative plays. Like if you can limit negative plays, right, and you're a lot of 2nd and 6s, 2nd and 5s, all those kind of things, like you can win a lot of ball games staying out of negative down in distance. And he does a great job helping us stay out of negative down in distance, taking what's there, like you said, being patient, and then once he hits it, he can explode in a heartbeat and get downhill. And so he did a tremendous job.
But just really impressed with what he did. And my second, and I try to stay away from the quarterback as much as possible for player of the game, but clutch player of the game is Cash Williams.
No doubt.
It's 4th and over 20. He throws a dime touchdown.
Yeah, absolutely. Multiple times.
Multiple times. And so, you look at the game, you take away 4th down conversions, it's a different score.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, we're not talking professional athletes here. We're talking about high school students. Right. And that's a lot of pressure on turnover on downs or touchdown. Turnover on downs on touchdown. And so I just, the maturity of that I've seen him, grow into and just on that. Now,
that's a great word to use, when describing him. I thought in this game that maybe kind of helps put it in context a little bit better because, again, statistically was his best game. I don't know, but just as far as like making great decisions and like you're saying, the maturity factor, like you can see him like he's very comfortable playing quarterback now. You saw him very comfortable against Bixby the week before, making really good decisions.
Yes.
Like throwing the ball away when it needed to be thrown away, taking bad snaps, executing all those kind of things. And I think you saw the same thing, against Piedmont last Friday of just you continue to see his, as I say, maturation and evolution as a quarterback, just getting us into great decisions, and things like that. And so I couldn't have been more proud of him. And absolutely, and to be honest with you, if it wasn't, I think he's gotten it every week. And so
yeah.
He probably would have gotten it again. So
I've been staying away from it.
I can't argue that he wasn't worthy of it either, and he understands that it's sometimes someone else has to spread the wealth a little bit on it. But I could have made that argument as well.
Well, of course, when in the booth, the other team's radio guy, the other team's play-by-play always asks me like, okay, which numbers do I need to know their names? And so when I'm telling the names, I'm like, well, I named the entire starting skill set. So I'm naming Cash, I'm naming Morgan, I'm naming Juju, I'm naming Hayden, I'm naming Kiefer, I'm naming Titus. And it's like, well, these are the names you're going to hear. And, that goes to say that Cash is not just throwing to his best bud. Cash is using that vision, that maturity, and that wisdom, and he's spreading that ball around where everybody on the field is a weapon. I'm sure you even have some offensive linemen that can be eligible, and they do weapons too.
They want it too.
They'd
like to get some receptions. So and you try to have a system where we try not to advertise it, but internally it's like pick your poison. You take away one, I'm gonna try to get it to another.
Sure.
And you take away the run, we're gonna get you with the pass. And so when you have a complete offensive system, you hope to be able to execute. And like you're saying, everybody's a weapon. You're not out there as a dummy just to block somebody or stand there. You're out there to be a legit threat. And that's something I think is a great job from our coaching staff and our kids to be able to execute that and just build a system where everybody can be involved and everyone can be a part of the scoring process.
Which I felt I was a part of the scoring process, but that's how excited I was when we would do these things. All right, let's flip on the other side to defense. It's another rough night. We've been going against some powerhouse offenses.
Yeah, no doubt.
So let's talk a little bit about defense, and of course, ultimately, the defense caused some problems and caused some turnovers, and that's probably the difference in the game.
Well, absolutely
right there.
It was, yeah. And so we had, obviously, Piedmont's offense very, kind of non-traditional. They run a flex bone, which do a really good job executing it. Obviously struggled with it a few weeks back against Gardner Edgerton in Kansas and saw a very similar offense with Piedmont. So obviously you take what you did against Gardner Edgerton and you say, hey, this was good, this was bad, and you kind of continue to try to evolve that and get better and better at it. Saw some improvement obviously from them, but the big story from last Friday was just third down conversions. Right. They had way too many, gave up way too many third down conversions, and third and longs and things like that, and just didn't play well at times, but still, again, like you mentioned, proud of our kids in the second half, coming out and just finding a way late to be able to make the plays. Hayden Mounts had a big fumble recovery, in the second half, and then the play of the game, in my opinion, was Israel Hammond's strip sack, which if you go watch the replay, you can zoom in all you want, and I still can't figure out how he did it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, he literally comes around a guy one hand and literally palms the ball. It rips and recovers it in one swoop, and that's kind of Izzy being Izzy, and you're starting to see him just time and time again pop up making these kind of just tremendous plays as a sophomore.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And you have flashes of, hey, is this Deshaun Brown? Is this R.J. Jackson? Is this Will Smith? Of guys we've had in the past, and you're starting to kind of see that next coming of the next big guy, starting to brew. And Israel is a, phenomenal athlete, is a guy, I think he's a 7-position guy, meaning he could play, D-line, outside backer, inside backer, safety, tight end, receiver. And I don't know if I named 7, but he can do about anything just with his body type and athleticism, and you're seeing him make big plays, and so that it's been nice to watch his emergence, especially in crucial situations. Obviously had a very similar play against Bixby, and then again 2 weeks in a row. Next week against Piedmont, huge play. So proud of the way our kids stepped up and made plays. Clee Grant had a big interception, as well in there, and so just again it's a process. Like our kids are, we've had great week of practice. They're hungry to continue to improve defensively, and kind of life of a high school coach. And if you remember, 2023 team, our offense was struggling a little bit at the beginning of the year, and then we continue to get better because we returned 2 guys on offense. Fast forward to 2024, almost all the offensive starters are back.
Right.
Now you return 2 guys on defense, and so what happens? Well, it's, as we mentioned, it's a maturation process. It's a process of trying to improve and get better. And obviously you want to accelerate that, but it compounds some issues when you go against really good offenses, and especially unorthodox offenses. And so, I'm very confident in our group's process, very confident in their ability to improve and their want to improve. And I look forward to seeing that as the season continues.
Well, and of course, this is high school. Every football team is building. There's never a finished product because you're always building for this year.
I've never had a team, and I don't know very many people have, that's like, I returned 9 on D, 9 on O. It's like never happens. It's like if you feel good about offense one year, maybe the defense, if you feel good about defense, and maybe the offense. And very rarely do all the stars align and just everybody was back from the year before. That very rarely happens.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it fun about coaching. Because every year you're kind of figuring out live, and sometimes people are kind of shocked to hear that, but you're like, you think from practice reps, but really you got to kind of build a case during the season of like, hey, this is what I've seen this kid do, this is what I've seen this kid do, and then they got to go prove it on Fridays.
Well, of course, if you have a good program, you're allowing for growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have a sophomore that's like, this guy's he's not here, but he's going to be a stud later, and then over the summer, when he becomes a junior, all of a sudden it's a different kid.
Right.
Because that's just the beauty of human growth and development.
Absolutely, and that's that's the difference in having a program or players. Kind of a neat deal is we played Piedmont junior varsity a year ago, and I want to say it's something like 9 of those kids that played in that JV game started last Friday.
Right.
And so like you're continuing just that junior varsity really is the next wave of starters, and that's been kind of nice to see.
Yeah, which is good to hear on that players game.
Yeah, players game. I alluded to it earlier. You probably guessed it, but defense player of the game, 2nd week in a row. Israel Hammond, sophomore, huge plays.
And so I had Izzy and Grant, the interception and that forced fumble. Because to me,
also had a big tackle on the goal line. And I don't know if you saw a big stick. Would have been on your left side or the east side of the stadium. Really came off a block really well and had a really big hit.
There's a lot of good plays all over the place, but just
D-line played very well. That was very encouraging to watch.
Yes.
D-line finally started kind of getting going again with 2 sophomores. On the D-line with Asa Barlow and Jace Watson. Along with senior Devin Gillespie and Brentrell Smith. But you're starting to see junior. But you're starting to see, those young guys kind of start cutting their teeth a little bit and start making some plays that we think they can make.
But yes, those momentum shifters.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you can just see the air. The great thing about the Flexbone or any kind of these strong run offenses, well, they'll get up on you 2 touchdowns and then they put on the brakes and just torture you with time management, clock management. They never could do that, and that just allowed us to put them behind the 8 ball, and it just was.
And I would say, like, whatever system you believe in is right.
Yeah.
To each his own. Like, Flexbone is a really cool offense.
Yeah.
I think it's, really, really neat. Obviously, as you mentioned, the downside, you get behind, it's tough to come back.
Yep.
Right? Like our offense, we're down by 2 scores. There's no sweat. I know
Yeah.
we can score in the drop of a hat and a blink of an eye, our 2 minute is our offense. And so we knew if we got a scoring battle, we felt good
Yep.
to be able to continue to score. And kids were able to do that and continue to answer the bell, and we're just really proud of them.
Well, the good news for the fans out there, the playoffs will happen eventually, and there's a good chance that there might be some interaction again. Depends on how it lines up.
I could see them being a state semifinalist team.
Yep.
In 6A, I thought they were a very good program with Piedmont, very well coached, did a good job. And I can see them, making their way to the semifinals. Absolutely.
And so that's going to be some excitement that we can look forward to in the future. They're going to play somebody anyways,
No doubt.
and now we're going to be able to really kind of compare how we are.
Absolutely.
And how Piedmont are as we go through this next part of our cycle. Speaking of the next part of our cycle, we got Putnam City coming, homecoming, big pink out.
Big pink out. HOCO and Choctaw,
HOCO
right?
and Choctaw,
big
yeah.
deal. Our student council and teachers and kids done a great job. A lot of school spirit. A lot of I see from elementary all the way down. That's kind of cool. As the elementary kids do the same homecoming themes that the high school does, and so I know my two middles were dressed up as little minions and. All the different things, this week that our high school does, and it's been really cool. So it's been a lot of fun watching that. Great tradition. You get to see a lot of alumni come back. A lot of former players have already contacted me.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, I'll be there, and that's cool. I enjoy that. You love seeing those guys in the future, and you love seeing them be successful. And so I've always looked forward to homecoming in Choctaw.
And speaking of homecoming, I'm going to push my own channel. If you're coming home and you want to see past football games, we got it on Yellow Jackets TV.
All stockpiled.
You can just find the playlist of the year you graduated and just watch all the games.
Yeah, awesome.
But to me, that's kind of fun that we have that for everybody.
That is very cool.
I'm just pushing my channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I enjoy doing this, and there's been a lot of great football played over the years here.
Yep.
So what do we expect to see? No more flexbone, right?
No more. I hope not. We've seen enough. Seen seen 2 in 8 years, both this year. So. Yes.
So
we're good.
So what's Putnam City going to be playing?
I mean, defensively, Putnam City's just really, really big and athletic. Super fast. Will hit you. They're a very, very strong defensive unit. Their kids can absolutely fly. Several Division I kids on defense can fly around. Will hit you. Make you snap it again. Can force you into getting some negative plays because of just their sheer athleticism. And they're well coached as well. But those kids will ride to the ball, get to it very, very quickly, and they're still young as well, so I think they will continue to build and be a super strong team. Offensively, I have some playmakers that they're going to try to pump the ball to, a big physical offensive line, be one of the bigger offensive lines we've seen. Can run the ball, can throw it, have a quarterback that can do both, makes good decisions, really good offense. But I think that you'll see, the matchup to watch obviously will be, their defense versus our offense, and just kind of watching that matchup to see who can come ahead on that, because obviously we have a great deal of respect for their defense. It is super well coached and very talented, and offensively they're no slouch either. But the defense is what they kind of hang their hat on.
Okay. Well, I'm excited that, and they're always very, very athletic.
Yep.
A lot of speed, and so it's going to be a good year of football, and so I'm excited about that. And we'll see how we measure up. I'm excited how the line measure up. I mean, they've been tested.
Yep.
So I'm ready for the line just to have a spectacular night.
Yeah.
And both offense and defense,
Right.
and just start blowing things up, and,
Yeah.
and just
Well, I mean, you think about the first 4 games, the season, and we hadn't talked much about it on camera, but like our scrimmage was against Jinx, 6A1
Yeah.
runner-up, Bentonville, 7A runner-up
Yeah.
in Arkansas. Then you play, Lubbock, Texas. Then you go, 6A state champs in Kansas. Then Bixby. Then Piedmont. There hasn't been much, room for like, hey, let's catch our breath. It's been just pedal to the metal, for about 50 straight days.
Right.
And obviously that's difficult to do to anyone. Credit to our kids and coaches who have just maintained focus and great
Yeah.
attitudes and all those kind of things. But man, like they have been absolutely put, against the wall, for the first, 50 days of the season.
Okay, so I'm pushing for them especially the defense, just have an explosive.
I'm ready for it too. I feel like it's coming.
A
Absolutely.
night. I want them, woo, and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm ready. They deserve it.
Absolutely.
But they're gonna have to earn it. But
No doubt.
I watched some film, but a little bit different, just to see how they're playing.
Right.
I think we match up well against them.
Well, I hope you're right.
We'll see. Well,
Yes.
hopefully you got the game plan. But I'll be there at the game, and you can either be there at the game at homecoming, which I recommend, or you can watch us. But I recommend you watch us the day after and just be there at the game because it's homecoming.
That's right.
You know,
Absolutely.
You might as well be
Absolutely.
there
Come
and
back
see
home.
all the stuff.
Absolutely.
And so, until next time, stay golden.